Zen, married man of 30 years, was having a 15-year affair with Lizzie, the racist. When Jim told me this, I said, what?
I prefer if I have my money, I buy dress, I buy my jacket. I don't like send my money to buy food. No.
So you're saying you'd rather wear clothes than eat?
Yeah.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to the Mental Moodboard Podcast, the podcast where I divulge into the mood board of my mind. And on today's episode, I am wearing pink again. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. That actually was not planned. I just love pink. Pink is my favourite colour. And these episodes happen to come out on a Wednesday. Would you look at that divine timing? And oh! If you're listening via audio, I am sitting next to a gorgeous pink mesh dress that a gorgeous person made. Could it be me? Could it be me? It is me. This is a new design that I've come out with, and it will be coming out very soon. It just needs a few tweaks here and there, but I'm in love with her. Out of all the things I've created, I've never created anything mesh, and mesh is one of my favourite fabrics. I mean, I've used lace, lycra, all these different fabrics. And if you know me, you know that I love Save the Queen. Save the Queen is one of my favourite brands out there. It's been around since the 1980s. A lot of people don't know that. And I feel like it gets some of its inspiration from Jean-Paul Gaultier. But Jean-Paul Gaultier's, I think it's Tatouage collection was released in the 90s, whereas Save the Queen came out in 1980. But I tried looking online for the designs that Save the Queen came out with in 1980s, and I could not find anything. So do not quote me on that. I don't know who copied who. Chicken, egg, chicken. I don't know who came first. But because I love Jean-Paul Gaultier's Tatouage collection, I love Save the Queen. And it's interchangeable there. I just love anything printed mesh. It's gorgeous. Mwah. So I get my a bit of my inspiration comes from, you know, my two loves, Jean-Paul Gaultier's mesh designs and Save the Queen. She's gorgeous, isn't she? But hi guys, how are we doing? I have some big news. Yes. If you guys know me, you know that I run the brand called Sooki Sooki Vintage. So I just wanted to lift a glass up here and give a toast to Sooki Sooki Vintage, or rather, the end of Sooki Sooki Vintage. Cheers. Now, as I say that with love and also not as much seriousness as it may seem. When I say the end of Sooki Sooki Vintage, I do believe it is the end of an era of how I run my business, how much of myself I put into my business, as well as the name. I really do think that Sooki Sooki Vintage is due for a rebrand. I've been running this business on and off for how long now? So I started Sooki Sooki Vintage properly. I gave it a name, created an Instagram account on July the 21st or 26th, I can't remember, 2017. I would post a lot of 70s, archival 70s pieces that I didn't own, but I just found on Pinterest because I love the 70s. Sooki Sooki Vintage was born out of my love for the 70s, hence the name Sooki Vintage. Comes from the American slang term, Sooki, sook it now. And so with that, I do feel like as I've grown and as I've become a designer, I do still have a bit of my love of the 70s. It's seen in my work, I believe. You know, that flamboyance, the flair. I do include that in my business, but as I've grown, I do feel like the Sooki Sooki has sort of left. She left the building, girl. She's definitely left the building. And I feel like it's time for a rebrand. Moving myself out of the business, I think, being the forefront, because I'm going to be very honest, because this is my podcast. I feel like promoting clothes on a mid-sized black woman in fashion doesn't get any sales. And I know you may think, oh no, Lapoze, it'll get sales. I've tested this. I've done ads at the same time. with the same amount of boost, same amount of money put in. What I did was I took a picture that a customer had given me, a white girl, I'll say that, and she was wearing the Lamian lace skirt. It was a beautiful shoot. I think she used like a digital camera, so the flash was gorgeous. And then I ran an ad on one of my very popular pieces, put myself in it, and I ran an ad as well. And I noticed that the ad with said girl was a lot more popular than the one with me. And I thought, oh, maybe, it's a design. Maybe people aren't really into the design. But then I noticed that the design that I was wearing would get a lot of clicks, but no purchases. Whereas the one with the other girl wearing my designs, there were a lot more purchases attached to it. And I've noticed within people within my field, they tend to use models as well, and models of a certain look. So as I'm growing in my business, I do feel like I need to venture or remove myself out of being the face of my business, which was fun to begin with. And I did get a lot of attention, but I just don't think it's the move anymore. Another thought I had this week was, sorry that I'm so somber. Actually, I don't apologize. I'm very somber at the moment. And I think it's just because of the day I've had and the emotions I'm going through, and I feel like it's all connected to my business. I've inadvertently attached my worth to my business, and I've come to the realization for the past 3 years, actually, because Sooki Sooki Vintage properly took off in 2020, that whenever the winter time comes, my business tends to stagnate, or I get less orders coming through. And I don't know if it's because my designs are a bit too summery, even though I try to venture towards wintry stuff. I mean, look at this. She's long sleeved. I try to venture towards more wintry stuff, or at least I try to, but I guess the summery stuff creeps back in. That's just, she's a stretch girl. I love my stretchy, colourful items. And that's just how I am. I'm just colourful. I feel like colour should be every season of every year, not just what is this? Not just autumn, not just winter. You should wear colour all seasons. And so because my branding is so colourful, I feel that people neglect my business in the winter months, and it's happened 3 years consecutively. My business will start, or my orders will start dropping once August hits. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, it may pick up. And then March, it comes back up again. And I've come to the realization that maybe my business is just seasonal. Maybe I'm not a failure. I say that to myself, but there's like annoying or like an evil voice at the back of my head that's like, You're a bit useless, aren't you? You're not good at what you do. What are you good at? You tried illustration, you weren't good at that. You tried running your own business, you're failing. What can you do? What do you bring to the table? That's what the voice at the back of my head is saying. What do you bring to the table? And I'm saying, I got lip gloss. That's what I bring to the table. That's what I'm bringing. But in all seriousness, I wouldn't say imposter syndrome, because imposter syndrome happens when you've arrived. And I have not reached, not upon arrival. I have not arrived at all. And it goes back to the conversation that we had last week about me venturing back into work. And I've kind of given myself a deadline, and I've said that I'm going to give myself a year of doing Sooki Sooki Vintage. Not full on, because I definitely have to go out there and get a job. I definitely have to. So I'm going to do some part-time work. I'm going to start looking for jobs, because gosh, it's so easy to overshare on the internet when you think no one's watching, but people I know are going to be watching. When you have 30p to your name, you cannot be doing up, I'm a creative, you just can't. And I can't be doing that anymore. So yeah, I'm definitely going to look for part-time work. Maybe make it full-time, but I've said to myself, I'm giving myself a year of running Sooki Sooki Vintage. with the whole, rebranding, changing the name. I really want to put my all into my business, and I feel like that's what I've done. I've given my all to Sooki Sooki Vintage. 3 years worth. My boyfriend says that it takes 10 years to build a business, and at 3 years in, and ugh. But I also read recently that being in the fashion industry or creating clothes is not a very sustainable business to be in. And I'm like, oh, why did I have to be in the business that is unsustainable and I have a passion for it? And then I got to thinking even more. I'm like, why am I so creatively inclined? It's a blessing, but it's also not a blessing at the same time. I'm really happy for like how creative I am, because I know it takes people a lot of time to find their creative gifts or find what they feel they're good at. And I know that there's tons of people out there, people that have stable, steady jobs, making their good amount of money, that are like, oh, I wish I had a creative outlet. Whereas I have that, but don't have the fun. Where the funds? I don't have the funds. And it's a simple fix. It really is. It's a simple fix. All I need to do is work. But then if you had watched my previous podcast, you would know that there's a bit of lingering trauma with being a black woman in the workplace. I still kind of like have a bit of trauma there, because I know without a doubt, no matter where I work, there is going to be a comment on my blackness, and it's going to happen. I mean, it happens in everyday life anyway. So I should just accept that and move on. But yeah, these are just like a couple of thoughts that have been in my head this week, and mostly all my life. I love my life. But let's move on to something a bit more happier. Let's get into one of my favorite things, music. Now, I feel like you guys need to be put onto this artist. His name is James Bambu. And he is just the most eclectic, amazing artist I've ever heard. I discovered him, I think, around 2020. And his music is so amazing. I don't like to compare artists to one another. I would hate it as well. But in order to give you an idea, imagine Cisco, or like Cisco's aesthetic, but like with a bit more of a feminine flair, and then like a neo soul voice attached to it. It's just, I absolutely love his music. And he follows me on TikTok. Flex, little bit of a flex. Without a doubt, I listen to his music every day, or at least every other day. I'll listen to a song. And one song that I'm really obsessed with at the moment, that he recently came out with, is Rhythm of the Kiss. It's such a good song. So that's another thing that's been on my mental mood board, having to put people onto James Bambu. I cannot have him all to myself. He's an independent artist. He's absolutely amazing. You all need to listen to his music. He is so bloody talented. Next thing on my mental mood board. Oh, we're moving along quick. I wanted to give you guys a part 2 of my working sorrows, or working for Exodus Photography, as we spoke about last week. So I wanted to give you a bit of a part 2 or continuation of the story. So I know that we ended on me talking about, the racist experiences that I had there, but I wanted to get into more juicy stuff, some gist, if you will. Let's get into it. So it's 2020. I'm put on furlough. And I was called back into the office, and it was via WhatsApp. The head honcho, the South Asian man, what was his name? Zen. I named him Zen. Zen texted me on WhatsApp. He's like, oh, hey, Lapoze, can you come into the office tomorrow? I said, I know what this is. I've been on furlough for, I think, 3 or 4 months. I said, I know what this is. And then I said, yeah, sure. What is it concerning? And I knew he was bricking it. He was like, I can't remember what he said exactly, but it was like sort of on the lines of, oh, it's just about like your work or where we stand or something like that. He tried to like hide it and make it seem as if I wasn't getting let go, but I knew I was getting let go. Okay, I knew. So the next day I was nervous, but I knew what was happening. Came into the office all cheery, and as soon as I came in, Lizzie and Biggie were in. Ziggy wasn't in. So Lizzie, that, you know, head honcho, my manager that sat next to Ziggy, was in, and Biggie, lovely sweet South African guy who sits next to me, was in, and they were working. They were no longer on furlough. I said shame. I was eating that money, putting it into Sooki Sooki Vintage. Eating the money, putting it into Sooki Vintage. I said, keep it coming, keep it coming. Give me the money, give me the funds, okay? So I came in, and they all seemed like really sad, and they like had their eyes down when they were looking at me. I said, finish. I know what's happening. I came in, I was happy. I was like, hi guys. I already knew what was coming my way. It's like, hi guys, how's it going? They go, hi Lapoze, how are you? I said, I know what's happening. And then I went in, sat down with Zen, and he goes, there's no way to actually say this, but I think I have to let you go. It's just because, like, you know, due to COVID-19, due to the pandemic, I don't know why I'm doing this, due to the pandemic, we haven't been making a lot of money, we haven't been having a lot of print orders, so I have to let you go, and the money that the government gave us is slowly running out, and so we have to let you go. I was like, oh, sure, I understand. And he said to me, oh, we will continue to pay you up until August. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I think that was how many more months of pay? I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 months of pay that they were still going to pay me, even though I wasn't going to be in the office, which was fair. I was like, okay. And I was like, that's absolutely fine. What else was discussed? Oh yeah, I asked before I found out that, you know, I was going to get paid for not being there. I was like, oh, is there any way that you can extend it? He was like, yes, the only amount of time that we can send it up to is 4 months. And I was like, okay, cool, that's fine, thank you. And then he said, yeah, it's pretty sad that we have to let you go. And then he goes, I don't know why I chose to fire you first. And he started laughing. I was like, I know why. You thought, let's bring the negress in. She lives just close by. And I was like, well, I don't think I asked him if there's anyone else that you're letting go of. I think he was like, oh yeah, we're going to let go of a few more people, which I understood, fair. But just the fact that no one prompted him. Himself, he said, I don't know why I chose to fire you first. I said, I know why, sir. I know why. You don't have to tell me. I'm here. I know how you think, okay? I know why you got me first. And so I came out of his office and then had to walk past the Biggie and Lizzie. And they were like, oh, sorry, so sad, you know, that this is happening. I was like, listen, it's okay, it's fine. I mean, Sooki Sooki Vintage was through the roof. People were writing articles about me. I was making bank. I was getting money, and I was going to continue to get paid by them. I said, it's fine. It's fine. Biggie, I knew, was going to miss me, though. He was like, oh, it's so sad to see you go. I was like, it's fine. I can pursue what I want to pursue now, because I was so sad at that job. Lizzie was doing her fake. Oh, let's see. You're not a good friend. You didn't tell me I had white stuff in the corner of my mouth. It's gone. Okay. Lizzie was saying, oh, it's so sad. Sorry. But yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon. If you want to come down and visit. I said, visit where? If I'm gone, I'm gone. I'm not coming back. Even if they said, oh, Lapoze, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, said, oh, Lapoze, we'd love to have you back, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, nay. Once it's cut off, it's cut off. Once it's shut down, it's shut down. Yes, daddy. Once it's shut down, it's shut down. I'm not going back. And that's for all things in life. Okay? Oh, that tastes good. Cheers to that. So cool. We cut ties, which I was very happy about, because I knew that if they had, I wasn't happy there, but I knew that if they were continuing to have me on, my boyfriend would have not let me leave. He'd be like, oh, you know, you've got a stable job, don't leave. And like I told you guys before, I was so depressed whilst working there. There was some thoughts about unaliving myself. Because I was thinking, like, what's the point of living to work, especially living to work in a place that is just horrible. And the thing is with me, if I don't like something, I'm out of there. But because I had to be an adult and I had to pay big girl rent, my partner was like, just don't haphazardly leave, look for another place. And I was just like, oh, look for another place and go through all of this all over again. I was just like, when is my YouTube career gonna pop off? Like I told you guys, I would journal videos that I had to do. I would journal how I'd make Sooki Sooki Vintage big. I need to get back on my journaling game because that truly inspired me. Get back on my journaling game and get a job. And not be jobless Lapoze. No more jobless Lapoze. No more. And so, yeah, they let me go. And then that was that. Oh, and then because I still lived in the same area, I would run into a few of my workmates here and there. Some people I liked, some people I didn't. But, you know, yeah, I'd run into them. And then we move. How long ago was this? This was, oh my goodness. This was, I think this year or last. Is it this year? I think. It was last year. I think it was last year around October, November time, or it could be earlier this year, January, February. You know, time blends. But I ran into one of our own old clients from Exodus Photography. He wasn't my client, he was Biggie's client, but I would talk to him and chat. And because obviously when you're the only black girl there, people love to talk to you about their trips to Africa. They love to talk to me about their trips to Africa. I just recently came back from Kenya. Oh no, how they say it? Kenya. I just came back from Kenya, taking pictures, blah, blah, blah. But this client, yes, he did the whole, I went to your country spiel. But he was lovely. He was a lovely client. And I ran into him in Sainsbury's. And he recognized me. I was with my partner, so I think he was a bit shy. But we walked past the same aisle a second time. We walked past each other a second time. First time he was a bit shy. We crossed eyes. And then because I'm short-sighted, I was like, is that him? So I had to double look. And by the time I looked, he looked down like, oh, she with her man, she with her man, she with her man. And second time, we literally walked past each other. I think it was down... It was such an awkward place. It was like literally in the middle of the aisle. We walked past each other and I stopped and I said, oh, hi. Completely forgot his name. What should we call him? Call him Jim. This is so bad. It's close to his name. It's close to his name. But we'll call him Jim. So I ran into Jim and I was like, oh, hi. Because I forgot his name. I was like, oh, hi, how are you? And he was like, oh, I'm fine. How are you? I'm like, I'm good, thanks. When I tell you, this man is so friggin' sweet. So sweet. But he can talk for England. Let me just go back in time. This was the second time we bumped into to each other in Sainsbury's. And the first time was during lockdown 2020. And I just told him that I'd been let go. And he was like, oh, why would they let you go? Blah, blah, blah. I was standing there for 45 minutes talking to this man in the produce aisle. Not even the produce aisle. What was it? Cheese and milk aisle. I said, sir, I'm cold. I know it's the summer, but I'm cold. You're talking. And then he says, I'm going to let you go, but... And he continues talking. I'm going to let you go, but... And he continues talking. He's sweet, but he can talk for England. So, yeah. Now to the second time that I saw him, I was with my partner. I was with Aaron, my boyfriend. And he was like, oh, hi, how are you? He didn't know my name. I totally forgot his. But he was like one of our big clients. I was like, oh, I'm good, thanks. I was like, oh, so are you still printing, your photography with Exodus Photography? And he was like, no. And he told me this story about how, I can't remember, but it was just some juicy gist Let me think. Oh, so basically, he took one of the printers because he had a close relationship with them. Was like, hey, I'd love you to print some work for me. I've bought the same printers that you guys own, and I'd love you to like work on it for me in my studio. Guy was like, fine, that would be great. Some extra money, and I know what I'm doing. Same industry, fine. Then what the person would do, what should we call him? Better call Saul. So the printer will call him Saul. Saul would basically bring the misprints into work just to fix them, not on the machinery, but just to look at it and see what he can fix, just in like, I guess, better lighting. And the son of the head honcho, Zen, his son, who also works there, Zen's son, what should we call him? We'll call him Nechi, because there's my overlocker Nechi over there. So Zen's son, Nechi, saw all the misprints and was like, Saul is printing for Jim using our machine when we no longer have a relationship with Jim. And the reason why they no longer had a relationship with Jim is because Lizzie basically had a shouting match with Jim over, I don't know what, but basically Lizzie ruined the client relationship with Jim, and he was just like, F it, I'm out of here. It was a big argument. And I think he'd also argued with Nechi, the son. It was just a mess, girl. It was so messy. I wish I was there to see. You see, being a fly on the wall for nonsense. I said things, they come back to get you. So basically it was like a mistaken identity, if you will, of, oh, you've been using our machinery to print for Jim. And Saul was like, no, I work for Jim on the side. He's got his own printer and blah, blah, blah. And it basically got to the point where I think Jim had to come. Jim came in and was just like, no, like Saul is using my stuff to print with. And they argued. There was shouting and blinding. Relationship ended. Cool. I think maybe even Saul left. I'm not too sure, but I think maybe Saul left. But that's not the juice of it. I'm so excited for this gist. Okay, let me behave. Okay, so Zen, head honcho, married man, his son, Nechi, works for him. He has a daughter. Lives, married man, been married for maybe 30 years or so. Has been having a 10 to 15 year affair with Lizzie. Did you hear that? Let me repeat it for you. Okay. Lizzie, she's a widower, but she lost her husband. I don't know if the affair happened whilst he was alive, but Zen, let me repeat so you're hearing. Zen, married man of 30 years, was having a 15-year affair with Lizzie, the racist. Both of them together as one. Racist Zen, racist Lizzie, together. And when Jim told me this, I said, what? I said, are you serious? And then Jim goes, yeah, everyone knew about it. They would go on, because they would go on a lot, they would travel a lot to print artwork, for the artists and photographers and stuff, and place their artwork in museums. And he was like, Jim goes, so yeah, whenever they would travel or go on business trips, they would actually have hotels together. It wasn't always business trips. It was them basically shacking up in a hotel together and spending 1 night, 2 night stands together. And when he told me this, I was shocked. But what shocked me even more, he was like, yeah, everyone knew about it. What do you mean everyone knew about it? It was just like a open secret. But I obviously hadn't known about it because I hadn't been there for years. But yeah, and this is why she would leave early every day after she'd finished. We would finish work at 5:30. She would finish work at 3 and say, oh, I need to make it back to the East End because, Central Line is horrible. But when I tell you, literally 50% of the printers at work lived in the East End and still finished work at 5:30 and would get home at the time that they got home. But she would leave at 3:30. Why? She's fucking boss, man. She can do as she pleases. So Jim tells me this and he says, yeah, everyone knows it's a known secret. And in my head, I'm thinking, it's a known secret. So you're telling me Nechi, son of Zen, my guy, is thinking, all right, cool. Since everyone knows, he must have known. my dad is cheating on my mum with Lizzie, who wasn't, I'm so sorry, God forgive me, everyone is beautiful, but she wasn't a buff ting. She wasn't at all. Him himself, he wasn't a buff ting at all. I'm so sorry. In spirit and physically, how can your insides just metamorphosize and comeuppance and become your reality for how you look in person? Absolutely despicable. But yeah, he didn't tell his mum that his dad was having an affair for 15 years, and obviously he must have known. He was working there for ages. I just found that absolutely disgusting, deplorable, disgusting. So what made everything blow up is Zen hired his daughter to work in the position that I was in, front facing clients. And when the daughter found out about it, let me tell you something about daughters, how we ride for our mums. She went back home. She said, Mum, Dad's been cheating on you for years with Lizzie the Lizard. And Lizzie the Lizard knew homegirls. Mum, how can you be kiki and smiling and laughing knowing you are fucking someone's husband? You're racist. You are an adulterer. And you're ugly. Triple threat. Homegirl went home and said, Mom, Dad has been cheating on you. Now the house is in shambles. Not only is the house in shambles, the business has gone down. There, I kind of feel bad because I know what it feels like to run a business and for it to just go whoop. But then at the same time, I felt bad. But then Aaron said to me and Jim said to me, they said it's karma. They weren't good people, whether it was in business or whether it was how they treated their employees or treated me. It was just absolutely deplorable. Do you know how bad the racism was that I received from Zen? I worked around East End blokes. I'm talking in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Proper, you know at Lapoze? Like men that you'd think are absolutely racist. There was one that I think that was racist, actually. But there was this one guy that was just absolutely sweet, older East End bloke. And I told him, I was like, oh yeah, Zen is like really racist to me. But I think it's because he thinks that, that because he's brown and I'm brown, that it's okay. And he was like, that's not on the pose. That's absolutely not on. You shouldn't be coming to work and experiencing this. I was like, you who I thought was racist, all of you. And they were so sweet. They would take me out to snooker with them. They were so lovely, honestly. Don't judge a book by its cover, because the people that I thought would be the most racist to me, your stereotypical East End lads, I've lived around for a long time, 60, 50 years old, were absolutely welcoming to me. Afro-headed black girl who loves rosé. Honestly, as much as we don't want people to judge us, let's not also judge others. But we judge because of survival. We're humans. We judge in order to survive. It's a survival instinct. But that just opened up my eyes to how sweet and beautiful people can be. But yeah, that was the gist. Can you imagine? I think God, I really needed to run into him. I really needed to run into Jim. God knew the right timing. My goodness, fucking buzzer, you're married. No shame. You're doing it in front of all of your employees. No shame. Shame is free. Get some. No shame whatsoever. So yeah, as I was watching back last week's podcast, I said there has to be a part 2 to this. I need to finish off the gist. Oh, also, I think a year ago, I saw the van, like the company van outside of my house. So basically, I was still within the same area, but I moved into a lovely high-rise flat, which I miss so much. And there was a McDonald's that was literally 30 seconds away from my flat. And I saw the van and I saw Zen in the van. I said, finish. And I was carrying a suitcase because I needed to fix my sewing machine. Oh, I don't know where that came from. I needed to fix my sewing machine. And I was wearing a coat that he'd obviously seen me in a lot. And I had my hair out. But as soon as I saw the van, I did like this. But I think he did see me. I don't know. But yeah, that's the last time I saw him. Whew. That was eventful, I'm telling you. Maybe I should get a job and come back with more racist stories and just build the podcast. And it's no longer Mental Mood Board, it's Mental Job Board podcast. But yeah, another thing that's been on my mind is the old school YouTube days. That's just something that's been on my mind. The Michelle Phan, favorites of the month, favorites of the week or whatever days. And I was just thinking to myself, how nice it was when YouTube was so simple, where you didn't have to feed an algorithm, when you were just creating to create. I kind of wish I was creating at that time. Well, I was posting YouTube videos, singing, trying to improve my singing skills, because once I found out that I could sing, baby, I wanted to exploit the heck out of my voice to improve. But also I was reading that this was like 2009, 2010. The girls were getting record deals just from posting YouTube videos. I said, I want to be her. I want to be a record deal bitch, okay? I want to be that girl. Didn't happen. We here with a struggling business, okay? Instead. But I was just reminiscing about those days and how simple it was and how communal. If you were on YouTube in like around 2008, 2009, 2010, how communal and how easy it was to get subscribers back then. You would do subscribe for subscribe, but also people would leave like encouraging comments under my videos. I'm talking more so about musical YouTube, because that's where I lived. So I had like a lot of like American Filipino subscribers, and I subscribed to a lot of American Filipinos, and we'd leave comments on each other's YouTube and be like, oh, this is great, this is amazing, not for algorithm purposes, but just to boost each other up. Maybe it was also algorithm, I don't know, but we were just sub for sub. But it was actually very encouraging, and I really enjoyed that time in YouTube. It was just amazing. And I don't know if that has if that's still going on. I don't think I've experienced the whole sub for sub, let's support each other type vibe. Maybe in small businesses just a little bit, if you're close to someone and they support you, they'll help you. But other than that, I don't think I've experienced that time in YouTube right now. But yeah, that was a really good time. I really enjoyed that. Join me next week for another juicy podcast where I divulge into the mental mood board of my mind. Stay blessed. And a wise woman once said, remember to bounce that ass. Don't let it bounce you. I'm trying to live by that, because right now my ass is bouncing me. Bye, everyone. Cheers.